Ladies and gentlemen, dare I say we may have reached the get woke, go broke crescendo. $790 million loss in sales for Nike. And they're going to be laying people off. Now, to be fair, this is not the crescendo for which I speak. This is partly due to COVID, but we are seeing Nike lose a ton of money, not just because of COVID, which I wonder, does this have something to do with Colin Kaepernick, the riots and vandalism and everything that he hath wrought? Now, let's get to, I don't know for sure, we'll read the story, but let's get to the actual get woke, go broke crescendo, which includes Nike. It includes Starbucks, Coca-Cola, and Unilever, among many other companies, their subsidiaries. And what do I mean by get woke, go broke? All of this insane wokeness has become so toxic and polarizing, there's no effective way to advertise anymore. And all of these companies are losing money, so they have just snapped. And now they're not going to be advertising anymore. So it's not necessarily the same thing as what we typically call a get woke, go broke, because Nike is losing money partly due to COVID. They say it's not entirely, though. But the fact that many of these companies like YouTube, Twitter, or any of these companies are now seeing their businesses threatened due to the rapid polarization due to, for the most part, the wokeness. Well, there you go. This is like macro level get woke, go broke, right? These social media companies that entertained the ever increasing psychosis of the insane far left, and the media and these big corporate brands that pandered to them through advertisements. And now it's come to the point where, look, if Unilever, Starbucks, or Coke runs an advertisement, everybody going to get mad. So some people are trying to pass this off like these companies are boycotting Facebook specifically because it's a stop the hate campaign. And they'll try and play it that way. But the reality is these companies have straight up said it's just too toxic. And there you have it. Well, let's see what's going on with Nike, because this one isn't necessarily an overt get woke, go broke. But I got to tell you, man, that Colin Kaepernick campaign, you just do it, sacrifice everything or whatever. I think that really hurt them. And I think now they're seeing a major loss partly because of COVID, but not entirely. USA Today reports China, one of Nike's biggest markets, is growing again following a rare decline last quarter. But that rebound wasn't enough to save the footwear and apparel giant from reporting a sharp COVID-19 related global sales drop in the fiscal fourth quarter. Yeah. They say sales in the U.S. market were down 46%. Europe was lower by 44%, and China notched a slight 1% uptick. The overall decline pressured gross profits margin. As a result, Nike posted a $790 million loss. Now, it's important to point out, while USA Today doesn't want to give you the full details, according to Business Insider, Nike straight up said it's not because of COVID. It's only partly. And that layoffs are also not because of COVID. In fact, they said layoffs had nothing to do with it. They have to restructure. What does that restructuring mean? Something happened outside of COVID that hurt Nike in such a way. Based on what we're seeing with many of these other brands, I have to speculate that, we're seeing a get woke, go broke, right? To be fair, I don't know for sure. But the point of this video is not to accuse Nike of losing money because they chose to sign Colin Kaepernick, but to point out all these other companies that are dropping advertising because of the rapid polarization. So it's not necessarily in a broad view, like I mentioned, the same way we view it. Now, I also want to be fair to Nike. According to polls, Black Lives Matter is very, very popular. So I don't see why they should be losing money because of these woke ads. But just because Black Lives Matter is now more popular, according to these polls, assuming the polls are true, doesn't mean that Nike's true base support the protests. You see, regular people who are not initiated might be more likely to support Black Lives Matter. But conservatives and, football bros and athletes may be more conservative. Maybe they don't like it. Maybe they're pulling away. And that could be true, too. Now, again, COVID played a role in this. But check this out. Starbucks is the latest company to pause advertising across social media platforms. They say it will be pausing advertising on all social media platforms and promises to have discussions internally and with media partners and civil rights organizations to stop the spread of hate speech. The company will continue to post on social media without paid promotion, it announced Sunday. Now, they go on to say this is they want to end hate speech and all this, but you got to understand this goes beyond just the Facebook campaign. The campaign called Stop Hate for Profit is trying to get Facebook to change its rules so that, hate speech is banned or something. And Facebook has agreed to do it, even though Facebook is already heavily biased. I don't know how else you can ban hate speech other than straight up saying hate speech is banned. The weirdest thing is, no matter how many times these social media platforms say they're banning hate speech and then implement rules saying hate speech is banned, they still get accused of not banning hate speech. It seems like no matter what you do, they just want to destroy you. Maybe people like Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey would do well to stop bending over backwards to the mob. But this isn't about stop hate for profit. Starbucks is straight up saying all social media. Now here's what the media tries to do. Check this out. Starbucks is the latest major advertiser to make such an announcement amid a boycott that began with Facebook, but is now hitting other social media platforms. Coca-Cola on Friday, who said it would pause advertising on all social media platforms globally, while Unilever is halting advertising on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter in the U.S. through December 31st. On Saturday, Spirits giant Diageo said it was pausing paid advertising globally on major social media platforms beginning in July. A Starbucks spokesman said this social media pause will not include YouTube, which is owned by Google. So it looks like I'll be safe. I don't got to worry about losing money. You see, the thing is, the adpocalypse already came for Google. Google implemented a bunch of changes. But more importantly, these platforms own advertising. Google owns the majority of it. So these companies can't really afford to bail out. But we already saw Coca-Cola. We already saw Unilever. Unilever straight up said the polarized atmosphere. I'm pretty sure the rest of the companies are doing this too. Listen, if social media companies upheld their rules evenly and didn't create rules for the woke, then these companies would not have lost these advertisers. And look, to be fair, it goes to the far right too. YouTube had a really, really wide open platform. So you know what? No, I take this back. It's getting woke that caused all the damage. Let's be honest. It wasn't the far right that was complaining about advertising. They were the ones cheering for it. The wokeness infected YouTube. So YouTube cut off a lot of content that Facebook did and Twitter did. And that hurt them and hurt their user bases. Now, their goal, in my opinion, based on everything that's happened with the adpocalypse over the past several years, my assumption is that these companies weighed the risks. They said, if we ban, like, how many people make up this group of people? 7%. Okay, if we ban them, how much do we really lose in advertising revenue? And they'd say, it'd be $100 million in the year. Okay, what happens if we don't ban them? Then we lose all the advertisers and it's $500 million for the year. So they said, okay, it's cheaper to ban people. We still lose money, but we'll make more with these advertisers who are happy. The issue is banning these users means less eyeballs on content, less space for ads. So then the woke kept pressuring them, kept pushing them, kept beating them down, and they just kept bending further and bowing further, and it never stops until they have total compliance. So what happens? These advertising agencies, these big corporations, were increasingly trying to chase after what they thought was regular people. Lo and behold, it didn't work. We see all these nonsensical ad campaigns continually targeting the weird left, and regular Americans eventually just snap back and say, we've had enough of the stupidity. Now everybody's getting broke. These companies will undoubtedly sell less product because they're advertising less. These big tech companies that embraced wokeness will now see substantially less advertiser revenue because they kept creating rules to pander to the outrage left. Maybe you should have realized there was a line and said, shut up. They couldn't do it because you see, people in this country don't seem to understand where that line is for the left. And now we're seeing that many of these companies, while they're suspending ad revenue, it's only in the United States because of the polarized atmosphere. The far right and the fringe elements of the right are gone. They've been banned a long time ago. So the only problems now are that these social media platforms won't ban the left. And that's really it. Think about all these outrage mob campaigns that never would have happened targeting Unilever or Coke or these other companies if they just banned these far left lunatics the same as they did the right. Nobody would be leading these charges if they left moderate liberals and moderate conservatives up to talk about their business and do their thing. Instead, the social media platforms entertained the woke psychosis, resulting in lunatics launching cancel culture campaigns targeting these big platforms so they eventually pull out. Congratulations, this is the crescendo. We'll see. Maybe it's not. Maybe it gets worse. But this is it's a big moment. You know, I really wanted to play something like I was thinking of the Ride of the Valkyries or the 1812 Overture, just that big moment, boom, boom, right, from V for Vendetta, where it's like one by one, these big companies pull out of their ads because of the polarized atmospheres that you created because you allow the insane left to do their stupid cancel culture psychosis. To be fair, I'm very much in favor of free speech. I don't want these people banned, in which case this was the logical conclusion that I warned about, that there really is no simple solution for any of these companies. But I tell you this, the biased approach was not the answer. These companies know that if they leave up the toxic people, they'll eventually lose their advertisers. And I said this, and I said it a year ago. I was talking to Jack Dorsey, and I was like, you know, I get it. If you do nothing, you lose your advertisers. But you did too much. Or maybe you didn't do enough. Maybe you let these lunatics run rampant while you didn't hold people to the same standards, and now nobody wants to be on your platform. We'll see how long this lasts. But all of social media, apparently, except for YouTube, is getting hit. So I'll kick back, all right, here on YouTube, still getting paid, while people on other platforms are now going to lose money. We'll see how this plays out, but it's not going to be a good thing, I'll tell you this. Look, for all the problems these social media platforms have created with their bias, they're still a net positive for regular people to speak up and challenge the system. So this is not going to be a good thing for most people. It's a massive loss of revenue. Losing money is bad, but maybe this will be a wake-up call to stop embracing these crazy people. I'll leave it there. Got a couple more segments coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.